The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's session. I hope you're well. I hope your Thursday has been good so far. Thank you for popping in and joining me today, whether you're doing it via GoToWebinar, YouTube, streaming live, or whether you're catching up on things later with the recording. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for honoring me with your presence and listening to what I have to share today. And of course, we've always got to start off with a really important message, just to remind you that this is for educational purposes only. Please make sure you do your own due diligence on anything you see or hear. Make sure you follow trading plans. Make sure that you manage risk on every trading action, both on entry and exit. And of course, make sure that this is consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. This is general advice, of course. So please take that into account as you're listening to what I have to share today. Of course, it's your session, not mine. So if there's any questions or comments you have, any charts you'd like me to have a look at, then more than happy to do so. We're going to follow the usual format. We'll have a look at some headlines, a little bit of stuff around those, and of course, then we'll go into some charts and see what's happening live, up close and personal with whatever stock index or FX pair you'd like me to look at. Thank you to everybody who's said hello in chat box. It's always pretty wonderful to have you along for the ride. So thank you very much for investing the time in doing that. As I said, it's always very a very appreciated thing that you do that, because what it means is that I don't feel so lonely. So good afternoon, Shana. Thank you very much for your message. Hi, Mark. I hope you're well. Good day, Hugh. I hope you're good, and that your Thursday has started well too. Right. Okay. Let's get into it and have a look at what's coming across the news wires today. Of course, we saw the US markets continue to edge generally higher on the back of positive data, which continues. The Fed decision was as expected, with a 0.25% rate cut. But it was sort of telegraphed in the press conference subsequently that there is likely to be a slower pace ahead. But I'm just going to quickly flick into the CME and see what that's telling us in terms of January. Remember, we're at around about 21%. So let's check what it's done. Yeah, it's edged up marginally higher, but very, very unlikely now that we are to see a rate cut in January. So you can see the headlines. If I just pop on, you can see what headlines going on. If you pop into CNBC or any of that, you can just sort of see the headlines that are. But that third rate cut this year was approved. The opinion was divided. There's 12 voting members, and they vote whether to do so or not to do so. A couple of changes in the Fed statement, so you can have a look at that article as well if you pop to CNBC. Right. Okay. So US futures. We also had Oracle reporting. I know it's outside of earnings season, but we still have an occasional biggie reporting some earnings, and Oracle didn't come in as missed expectations. So US futures are looking slightly lower on the back of those, particularly the Nasdaq futures. Asian markets are mixed, as of course that rate cut was essentially priced in. The ASX is outperforming, actually. It's up around about 0.6%. And this is despite some jobs numbers which were questionable, really actually quite poor. Whether that sparked a belief that although the RBA are most certainly not going to raise this year again when they meet this week, it might sort of increase the chances of a rate cut early next year. Maybe that's what markets are responding to, perhaps. Anyway, European futures also point to a positive open. Thank you very much. Here we go. I should write it. Good day, Peter. US dollar index has really generally been weakening and testing 1 month lows. We'll check out the chart today after that. Fed speak overnight. Gold is testing a key technical level as we speak in this morning's trading. Copper is also looking strong. looks to test resistance. It's near 4-month highs, and oil is just about holding support by its fingernails. So we'll check that out. Bitcoin remains choppy. As I said, Aussie jobs a week. The Swiss National Bank rate decisions later and later. We've got US weekly jobs, and it'll be interesting. Also, may impact on those that feeling about what may happen in January, but we'll check it out. Now, let's just pop to here. You can see that if we looked at so up to the US last night, look at what's happening in Asia. You can see that the ASX is outperforming. Hang Seng's also started the day well. Obviously, they've only been open about half an hour at this stage. So, Chinese market flat, Nikkei flat. But if we look at the data that's due to come out, you can see there that there was the expected quarter rate cut last night. And we're going to jobs. You can see we were expecting a drop anyway of around about 20,000 from the last time jobs came up. We can see that we actually dropped. You need to see so we actually lost jobs. So we lost 21,000 rather than gaining 20. So that's interesting. We did see the employment rate stay steady though. That's the headline one that you'll see on all the news at 4.3% rather than ticking up to 4.4%. There's the Swiss National Bank due to report later, and then later is the weekly jobs coming out of the US. So yeah, interesting times, obviously. If we look at sort of what's coming out Friday, just for completeness, we've got German final CPI that rarely moves. It's the final that rarely moves from what's expected. But probably the major data point tomorrow is the UK GDP number. So watch if you're looking at GB pound pairs. Let's check out the futures. You can see there the Nasdaq futures underperforming the rest of the Dow, pretty neutral. European futures have actually picked up a little bit in Asian trading today. Sort of interesting. And buyers, because of that USD weakness this morning, that continued weakness I talked about, we've got buying coming into commodities. So we see an uptick in oil, uptick in gold, and a very significant uptick in copper. We'll check that out in a moment. I'll check these out on the charts. The yen's pretty strong this morning. All of these FX futures are against the USD, so the yen up 0.35 is outperforming, of course. Right, let's do it. Let's hop into some charts, shall we? Right, we'll start with oil since I've got that chart open already. You can see there that sort of support that was honoured again yesterday, and that bounce off it in the midpoint of the US session. It looked as though it was going to fall off a little bit, but then it sort of rallied towards the back end of the session after that rate decision was announced. On the commodity front, let's continue with copper. I've been extolling the virtues of copper and talked when we last met on Monday about how copper just seems to be challenging the next level, pulling back, retesting, and then going again. Pulling back, retesting, then going again. So we've had this little retracement this week. Almost created a lower low a couple of days ago, which is sort of interesting. Possibly means that we're going to be stuck in this range for a little while, but keep an eye on this 550 level, as I've said before. This is key technically because of what happened back here in June and July. Yeah, that's certainly worth keeping an eye on. As for today, I'm not sure. I think it might just get chopped around in this 5-cent area here. So I'm not seeing this as an opportunity until the US tonight. If gold, however, is a different ballgame. Now, gold is fluttering within a really tight range of around about $37. So it's supported around about that key 4,200 level. But you can see that it's doing another test today of this 42.34. If we look at the hourly chart, you can see how this has been a regular test. But seems to have stalled every time it's got over here around about 42.52. So, but that is a reasonable level above this in terms of a dollar return. It's around about $25. So for you short-term traders, this could be interesting, but you can see there this candle. Let's just pop it on the 30-minute. You can see what we've got is a breach of that level at 4234 and a retest. It looks as though this has been honored for the last three candles. To be interesting, these next couple of candles could be critical. A close over 42.43 might give that short-term opportunity there worth keeping on your radar, perhaps. There's the US dollar, just looking more and more miserable every time we check it out. We did have a little bit of a rally at the beginning of the week, which was on the back of, well, we don't think it's, but the fact that they did say that, or they didn't write off cuts, I think, for 2026 has probably helped that a little bit. You can see the US dollar drop. And then a further weakness today, this level. Although I wouldn't be jumping up and down about trading the US dollar futures contract, it does give overall context. Here's the S&P 500. That test of record high intraday yesterday, just a little pullback in today's session. And if we look at the NASDAQ as well, which will be pulling back because of that result, sort of underperformed the S&P 500 a little bit, but still within throwing distance of record highs. Even on today's drop, we're still only around about 1.8% lower than record high close on the futures contracts. So in terms of the major assets, certainly copper looks interesting during the course of the day. Might be worth checking in on it when the LME opens this afternoon in the UK. But also gold. It's a clear technical level it might challenge. If we check out the US yen, you can see that pullback in the USD during the course of last night, follow through today. This is looking technically very interesting. But if I just pull right back, and you can see there that it's potentially breached the key level at 155.71, not with any conviction. So we've essentially got a little bit of a trading zone or liquidity zone here. Possibly 155 is the 62 is the level to watch to the downside. If we breach that, we could see it start to drift down 20-30 pips maybe. But at this stage, it's been patient for that move. If we look at the Euro USD, that's certainly worth a look at. You can see the strength in the Euro continues on the 30-minute chart. We had that big bump at the back end of the US session. Trend continuation in today's session. For context, let's just bring this in. And you can see there, that was a key multi-time frame level breached at 116.83. I just think this might get stuck a little bit. Wouldn't be jumping up and down about it in the medium term. But maybe up to 117.40 is a positive move. You can see it got stuck there several occasions. So there's potentially a 40 pip move there. That's looking very interesting. Didn't want that one. Looking at the GB pound Aussie, you can just see a little bit of support on it again at that psychological round number of 2. So we've got a bounce off here on the daily. Looking at the hourly chart, I'm really interested in this. It's looking very technically messy. There's no clear break. There's a short-term trend which might get stuck in this area here. Very choppy. Trading doesn't make for easy decision making. But well worth checking out the Aussie yen. On the hourly chart, we saw that drop off with that yen strength early on, but it looks as though it's holding the support here at around about 103.80. Should we breach that? And it's had several attempts there during last night. 2 attempts already. So if we're going to close beneath there, maybe that encourages sellers to come in with a possible move down to the downside of around about 35, or so. So my FX chart of the day, I think I'm going to plant my flag in the Euro USD. I really like this move on the daily, not only where it finished last night, but the continuation today, and that potential move up towards this 174.40 level. That gives you context of just not just looking at this move that we've had in the last few hours. Quickly on the ASX. Myers having a good day at the office, 10% up. And Flight Centre is another one we've been having a look at. But what perhaps we just might be prudent just to quicken things up. Is to just have a look at our scanner. So if you look at the scanner here, you can see that there's a few stocks here which are really interesting. FMG is one that we've been tracking, continues to move higher, as you see. Further move up today. In context, this is highs not seen since back here in March. So continues to look really strong. It would be the time if you're in a position just to move the stock up like that. There could be a ceiling here, possibly around about where we are now. If we look back here through December 22 to December 23, essentially this was a resistance. So I'm wondering whether this becomes a pause point. Might be worth considering. If you're in a position, you've got a couple of choices here. You wait and see if it'll breach. You remove it and then be ready if there's a confirmed break of that level. Or of course, you can take off some partial profits on that. The choice is of course yours to make on that, depending on where you're sitting and where you plan, what your plan says. But those essentially the three options if you're ever in a place like this, because of course it is called resistance for a reason. So it could conceivably drift down again. So if you're in that, you've got a big decision to make. If you're not in that, you need to be patient for it to set up. Right, okay. So let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at Champion Iron, another one in that sector. Champion Iron is looking very interesting. If you put on the line chart, you'll see it even better. So we had a close here. We're a retracement. Now we're buying again on a weekly basis. This is near a key level at around this sort of 610. It merits some patience, I think. If we put it on the, I would actually, yeah, I'd be actually waiting for 615 or so before this is confirmed through the next level. It was we referenced this all the way back here when it was a triple bottom, to keep an eye on this. And standard behavior technically in that it breached, retested, and then went again. So wouldn't be surprised to see the same again. Not a breach yet, but setting up possibly. But again, just be cognizant that resistance is a resistance. On the short side, there's not many that have painted everything red. Flight Center, however, we did note was having a good day at the office. There's the candle for today, looking very, very strong. We're in a trend pause at this level here, a breach yesterday, and we've got follow through today. In context, again, we look here on a weekly chart. This previous support could end up being the resistance for this, so possibly a cap of around about $15. This is a clearer range that it might end up going into. So keep an eye, and this is fairly clean. You can see up-down movements there. No guarantee that that'll happen again, but often previous price action is mirrored. Should we get a similar breach? So I think this is one to keep on your radar, not for right now. And we'll drag Maya on just because it's up 10% today. Not at a level which we'll be very interested in, but that looks like something corporate. But there's a key level around about 45 cents. I would actually be tempted to see it breach 50, just a measure that number again. And then there's a lot of upside potential in this technically. Worthwhile checking out why it's up at 9.88% today. Into the US, and even more quickly on the US. Just a couple we have been tracking. REMX, which is the ETF that has rare earths and strategic metals in its portfolio. Really nice ETF to get exposure to, even for the medium term. You can see that's still playing with the resistance around about this 74 level. This is a great lesson in why you should be patient with any technical setup. Make sure it ticks your plan, every criteria, make sure it's set up completely. Because again, resistance is a reason. It could do exactly what it did here and come all the way back down. So that's why we most education would suggest patience is key. It's really hard though. You see that and you start to get excited. So don't underestimate the excitement that such a move can create as it just sits underneath resistance. Here's Tesla, which we're interested in, but we're going to be patient. to start jumping up and down a bit. We liked it when it was down here. We thought there might be a bounce on as soon as there was the rejection of that support to the downside. We saw that candle, which indicated buyers might be coming in. But since then, it sort of moved higher, edged higher, a little bit of a retracement earlier in the week to see some more buyers come in. But the cleaner grade would be, if you're interested, is just keep an eye on that key level. Key levels are so important. When people talk about market structure, that's what we're talking about. Price action often breeds previous price action, obviously breeds current price action commonly. I've put a lot of US stocks in here, it looks like. AMD will check out as well. We like this with this bounce. The refusal to breach $200, but we're not setting the world alight on this. We also, I'm trying to think what else we covered early in the week. We had a look at Micron. Micron looks far, far more positive than the extended hours trading is in here, but look at that breach. It's a textbook trend continuation with that close last night over 255. This is record highs for Micron in the semiconductor space. So that would be a technical setup that would be attractive to major traders. Extended hours just down a little bit, but that's on the back of Oracle results. So it'll be interesting to see how that opens tonight. I'm going to make Micron my US chart of the day to keep an eye on your radar. So there we go for today. I hope that's been interesting, useful, all of that wonderful stuff. I will see some of you later at other webinars, but most importantly, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see you very soon. Hi, Sonia, by the way, and hi, David, in the YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you're watching this in YouTube or watching this on the replay on YouTube, if you like what you hear, clicking that little thumbs up button is always a really appreciated thing for you to do. So take care of yourself. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. You have a good day too, Sonia. Thank you, guys, in the questions box too. You have a great weekend, Hugh. And we'll see you later. Bye for now. Take care.